You know what's weird? We've been lied to that we can think, that you can just sit on your own and come up with something from your mind, I can just create something out of nowhere, and we end up believing that it's possible, but in real sense, you can never think of anything. Never. They lie to us. What we do basically is remember or analyze, and analyzing basically happens from our past, the things that we've experienced. That's where we analyze things from. So you can't think anything new. And if you think I'm lying, just sit down with yourself and try and think of something new. You realize it's impossible. You can't. Okay, what we do, our mind is like an antenna, like it is an antenna, it's like a radio, it's just a receiver, so we receive frequencies, or information from the universe. Like, we don't think our own, we just receive. I'll take a good example. You see, for example, the situation with Elon Musk. This is a guy who is really, really interested in the space stuff and so on. And so when he is aligned, when he is tuned in into his energy or spirit, he downloads these information that he wants, So the main thing that has to happen here is I have to be attuned to the things that I want. I have to be in alignment with the things that I do want. So if right now, for example, I'm interested in cure for HIV, that's what I'm interested in. If I can align my energy, like be in my spirit self, and I've laid out my intention is finding the cure for HIV/AIDS, that's my intention. If I am really attuned to my spirit, it's gonna give me direction towards that, like it's gonna give me direction to that. That's how it happens, So I'm not the one who sits and come up with a medicine for the HIV or for something that I do want. I don't have that ability, People are lying to you about that. You don't create your thoughts. It's impossible. You just receive. Your intention has to be put outside there, and then you download the information. So the pineal gland, as you know, is the antenna. That's what captures, the frequencies or the information from the universe. Like if you see some of the things that for example Elon Musk is doing, you realize that these are some of the things that Tesla was talking about. So the information is always up here. Everything is up here. The thing that we have to do is we have to align with that information, and then we're going to receive it. Like it's just like a radio. We are like radios. So there are frequencies. When I tune to a different FM or an AM frequency, I'm gonna listen to something different. That's what happens. So our responsibility is to identify the things that we are interested on, and then align our spirit with that. When we do that, we are gonna turn or be aligned with the frequency of that thing that you want, and then it's from there that we're going to receive the information for that thing, and then you're going to be like, I had this idea, the idea is not yours, you downloaded the idea, we think these ideas are ours. Nope. That business that you started, those are not your ideas, that person that you married, you thought, I attracted her, I thought of her, and those are not your idea, those are just divine, generated or given ideas. We don't have ability to think, we don't have ability to come up with something. The only thing that we do is we receive thought, we just lay out our intentions, the things that we want, and then our spirit, our God, the divine, gives us what we need for the next step. And the next step, and the next step. I'll give you a good example of why it's not our idea. I don't know if you've ever been in a situation whereby you thought of a business, like a business, you had the best business idea, and then you decided, this is what I need for me to be able to run this business. This is what I need, like you got the capital, you started the business, like you are hyped up before the business. You are really, really hyped up about the business. You thought of it, you felt it, and everything was okay, and somebody came from nowhere, an institution gave you the capital, and you started, everything was running smoothly, and then all of a sudden everything falls. Do you know why? The idea was God's idea. He just gave you the idea. But now the problem, the reason why the business fell is because you started making it your own. The person that you're given, that good person that you're given, that good family that you're given, that car that you're given, that thing that you're given, the reason why it fell terribly, that health, is because you made it your own. And that's the problem that we do. If we can align with the higher self, if we can position ourselves to be in a state whereby we just receive and receive and receive, everything is going to fall into place. I don't mean you're not going to be in a position whereby you struggle, you experience some conundrums and so on and so forth. You're going to experience them, but they're not going to be self-driven issues. They're going to be things that they're just going to be like, you're in a hike, and you're experiencing a little bit of rain or fatigue or something, So the responsibility that we do have is to identify the things that you want, the things that you're really passionate about, and then align with them. That's the only thing you need. And then the information now will flow, So let them not lie to you. Don't think, you just remember, and then use the things that you've learned. Most of the things that you know right now, most of the things that you think you've come up with, they're things that you've been through. The only way I can come up, for example, I do animation. The only way I can come up with an animation idea is because I've learned it. It didn't come from anywhere. I just learned it. And then now when I try to come up with an animation, is something that I've learned, and now I'm analyzing it, coming up with something. So it's not that I'm creative. It's just something that I learned. Now, when I want something different, it's now for me to align with my spirit, and then it gives me the things that I need for that idea, So our responsibility is just to align, and then let God take us towards the next step. When you start living like that, when you start living from the idea that it's not mine, I'm just experiencing it, you realize that even the funding, even the conundrums, all these things, they're going to be solved by your spirit. You're not going to be involved in anything. You're just going to be riding these wave freely and effortlessly. Even when you encounter conundrum, you're just going to be, it's not my idea, the owner is going to take care of it,